So tell me the story how you started making the pottery that you make today.
Yeah. So I think the whole thing about pots is repetition. And I actually had a conversation recently with somebody about my work, and they totally disagreed with me. But I was actually having a discussion like this. My point of the discussion was to say, no, I agree with them. I make very cookie cutter things. Like that's what repetition is when we make pots, we have to make the same thing over and over. I think I've gotten out of because now I manage mostly, I've gotten out of that repetition of making a pot to fill a booth. And I get to explore those pots in the surface more. So a lot of my process is very, very simplistic. I'm making cylinders, but I want to bring life to that cylinder. So at the time I was making anything that would catch nostalgia and get somebody excited about oh, I remember when I used to do this. And I was huge into paper airplanes. I got kicked out of school for throwing excessive amounts of paper airplanes and not stopping. Pretty disrespectful amount of paper airplanes. And so that was one of the things that I wanted on my pots at the time. So I was, drawing and making these slab pieces and stick them on the pots. And then I would, after working at this facility that I worked at, I learned how to cast resin, and so I made stamps. And I would impress, these paper airplane stamps into the surface of my pots. And then I was doing nostalgic onomatopoeia with comic books saying boom, pow, bam, wow. And then that evolved into rubber ducks and like firecrackers and cherry bombs, stuff that kids used to do, like kids do all the time. And I wanted people to be excited about just looking at something and thinking it was cute and fun and playful. And so then I've always loved spaceships. I've always loved rockets. I've always loved the idea of space exploration. And I put a 50s style rocket ship on one, and I that was like the turning point. And I said, that's it. It was more that I can't take a paper airplane and turn it into a vessel. That would be a pretty damn big piece to do that. So I realized that the rocket ship was already a vessel. It's what it was made for. It was to hold things. And it became bigger than that. And I woke up in a cold sweat one night after I was just putting images of the rocket ships, different trajectories going up and coming down, and maybe looking like they're crashing and all sorts of stuff. And I woke up in a cold sweat one night, and I ran down to my basement studio at the time in this last house that we were in, and I sat at the wheel and I threw my first rocket ship, and I knew what it needed to be. And it was going to be my first cup because I wanted to explore beyond just an image on the surface of something. And I wanted it to be bigger than, a relief. And so I threw a closed form. A friend of mine, the guy that I had replaced the part on the raku kiln with, Steve Bober, he showed me how to throw closed forms, and I knew exactly what I needed to do from that point. So I started making cups, and then those cups evolved into cookie jars, lamps, and I just wanted that rocket ship to be at any scale, just, different functions. Created a shot, got in more and more into mold making, and started making my shot glasses. I wanted to evolve the shot glass into something new. I want to keep that retro rocket ship, but I also want to evolve that into more modern sci-fi type futuristic stuff. Evolution was really what started it, is knowing that like I can make that same form and that same shape, but bringing it to life and making it feel new and refreshing every time that I do it. I wanted that rocket ship motif to be a part of that journey. And I don't see myself stopping anytime soon, which is exciting. I keep finding that new thing that I want to evolve the work into. I want a new surface. I want to bring it and incorporate a new element of design into it. And it's just constantly about the evolution of pottery and how else can I excite myself in order to excite other people that see it. And I mean, I'm just playing and having more fun with that every time I sit in my studio and add a new element to this spaceship design. I mean, I'm a huge Star Wars fan, huge Star Trek fan. I cross the two. I love cheesy sci-fi movies. Marvin the Martian. I mean, you name it. If it has a connection to that retro 50s style rocket ship, or is something that's futuristic, alien. I want all of that, and I watch those movies to get inspiration. And I've always looked at movies that way. I watch them once just for the excitement and the wow factor and just to be entertained. And then I'll watch it again and again and again and again and again and again until I find things in it that I'm just like, ooh, that would be cool on this pot, or I could put it on a cup like this, or like Buzz Lightyear is my favorite, or Lightyear is my favorite new movie. That is my aesthetic to a core. And I just like seeing and getting excited about those things, and finding ways to add them into my work. So it's like I said, it's evolution that really started it, starting from the basics of making pots repetition wise, just to make a good pot, and then what can you do with that pot and evolve it. And I feel pretty comfortable with what I'm playing with right now, so it's working out well.
So it's very interesting that you said that because yesterday when I was watching the Ahsoka show, like episode 2 or something like that, and I saw like one of the characters, like one of the Sith characters, and I thought that design looked so cool. And I literally paused it, took a picture of it. I was like, I want to make this character.
Yeah,
Like that literally just reminded me of
I'm
that.
digging
I
your
love that
characters, by
so
the way.
much.
Those are
Thank you. Thank
yeah.
you.